Fantastic. So I have the honor of taking over this panel. Enterprise blockchain for a sustainable future.
Fujitsu.
A tricky one. Sorry?
It says Fujitsu.
Ah, thank you. So I have Salvatore, Settlemint.
Hi.
I have Marcos,
Thank you very
Fujitsu.
much.
And I have Mariana, IOTA. So I'm going to give them now, in a bit, the opportunity to say a few words about themselves, and then we're going to start the whole panel discussion. So Salvatore, maybe you could introduce yourself shortly, not too long, because we need to discuss a few things.
Okay, hi everyone. My name is Salvatore. I'm actually working for Settlemint. Settlemint is a high-performance, low-code blockchain platform. So it's one single platform that centralizes everything you need to deploy a blockchain application in a corporate world or in a company environment. And passing to my friend Marcos.
Okay, thank you very much for staying here, for inviting Fujitsu. But firstly, who knows Fujitsu?
I do.
Okay. The thing is, we are more than an air conditioning company. Got it? We are the 7th technological company in the world. And we are working with a specific blockchain and other technologies over blockchain. This is the key. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Victoria, again for the invitation. I work for the IOTA Foundation. IOTA Foundation is a layer 1 protocol. And I also represent INATPA, which is the International Association for Trusted Blockchain Applications, and I'm one of the chairs of the Social Impact and Sustainability Working Group.
Fantastic. So Settlemint, Fujitsu, and IOTA. Okay, guys. So maybe just before we dig into a little bit some of the questions of the whole panel, maybe we could just, have a little, how do I say, like little explanation of what, when we talk about a sustainable future and blockchain, what's that, right? Because sometimes it's a bit like, woo, right? And it's not very concrete. So maybe Salvatore, can you help me with that? What are we talking about?
Well, I do believe that, blockchain can be a tool for sustainable future, simply because, one, you have all the data collection that it enhances with the auditability of those different data by third party. So that's what blockchain offer as a technology. It's one single source of information where you can verify that someone is more sustainable or not. So I believe it's just the single source of truth that creates the potential use case for sustainability in general. And we believe that the technology, I think we are all here around blockchain, right? So we all believe that the technology can bring a lot of things, including sustainability topics. And we also see a lot of initiative happening with our partner Fujitsu too on creating, I would say, some kind of approach and products towards a more sustainable, concrete use cases that we can develop for sustainable future. So, yeah.
Well, it's more than sustainability, I think. It's about solving problems. Then we need to understand that we are working for big companies, and this company needs a trace data to get a trust society. Then we need to enable this trust data to get the best solutions and the best decisions for these companies. Over this, we can create anything, because I think it's ReFi, ESG systems, ESG framework, but we need to go over than this, beyond than this. We need to solve concrete and real problems, firstly. I think this is the key. This is a little bit more than that.
Well, the reason why I got interested in blockchain was my background is in human rights. And I got interested in this particular technology because I saw the potential that it has to actually accelerate things or actions that are already in place and create major impact. So as you mentioned, we are solving problems, and you can see it in different industries. I don't think that it's just only about data. We have heard a lot about what is possible with the carbon credits, but also what is possible also as well to integrate people that was left behind before, historically discriminated people, also integrating in the financial market, and the impact that we can create with that and actually activate economies is massive. So I guess that when we talk about sustainable future, it's actually that, and it's going back to how we integrate more people, but how we also achieve more equitable societies. So we have different use cases. I guess that we are going to talk about that later. I don't want to spoil it before, but I guess with examples it's more easy to understand.
You said a very interesting word, that is impact. We need to create an economy through the impact, social impact, but we need to be based in the 4 Ps, like people, planet, profit, and prosperity. This is the key, and you say that, in fact.
So for me, from what you said, when we talk about blockchain and sustainable future, what I've taken from here, we talk about solving problems at the end of the day with a layer of trust and at the end of the day of having an impact. Thank you. I think it's nice to have like a clarification. Okay, guys, I think now we want to understand both what you're building, right, within Settlemint, Fujitsu, and IOTA. So tell us, Salvatore, some use cases, some cool use cases you're building.
Great. Well, first, maybe I'm going to start introducing Settlemint and how it can help to build sustainable solution. So you need to see Settlemint a bit like a Lego, where you're going to take several layers of features from infrastructure to smart contract templates to middleware to integration tools, etc., that are there to click and deploy, and so to be able to quickly test some IDs and go to production if needed and scale. So that's the first intro about Settlemint. So it's really a tool, and usually projects also in the sustainability topics are delivered by partners. So Fujitsu is one of our gold and strategic partner. So they deliver project using our platform and providing services to end customer. And in terms of concrete use cases with sustainability, I think we will talk a lot about carbon credit tracking. That's number one. Then I would say carbon emission tracking, so collecting all this data around carbon emission and trying to track and trace what's happening with certain manufacturing processes or certain supply chain processes to make it more efficient and more sustainable. And then you have all kind of possibilities also to show that to, as I said, the auditing parts of a third party like the financial institution like banks that can also audit that to finance your activity to also become more and more sustainable. So those are concrete use cases. Probably maybe later I will mention some of the names, some of the concrete things that are already in production. So I'll just finish with the sentence of telling you that this is not a conceptual thing. It is not like we could do that. Reality is that us with Fujitsu are already having some use cases in production that are creating more sustainability impact.
Thank you very much for saying Fujitsu several times. Okay.
Now it's your turn. It's your turn to say Settlemint.
Okay. I think I have the goal phrase. I guess. How many water is blockchain, able to save? And I have the answer. 1 million of Olympic swimming pools. We are saving that amount of water. And how? Oh, it's magic, right? We developed one technology that embeds with trust data. And with this trust data that verify, that the water is reusable, we have a very big project that is called botanical water. What is this? Right. When food industry needs the vegetables and the fruits for reusing for other products, we need to take out the water, right? But that water is not usable anymore. It's a waste of water. Then we decide, okay, we're going to reduce the water waste. I'm going to reuse in other industry, okay? But we need to be a water trust, like all the guarantees, it's okay, all the conditions. Then over this, we create a secondary market because some industries want to buy the water, others want to sell. We make magic and, okay, a new exchange about a new revenue stream for the company. That's why I say we need to build new business line, new business model with blockchain, with refi, regenerative finances, with ESG systems, and this is the key. And we have another use case because we are adding ESG concepts with the textile traceability. If we include, for example, some ethical concepts about don't use slavery or childs working in textile, this is very important. And I know that all the companies are worried about this, to get ethic in the whole end-to-end supply chain concept. And that's all. Thank you.
So I want to actually showcase the variety of your use cases that you can deploy with blockchain for one particular industry, and I'm going to mention all IOTA use cases that I can think for supply chain. So you can see how the variety of use cases, not only within blockchain, but also what can happen with when you have a really active community, as we do. So supply chain, for example, is one of the industries where you can see how blockchain actually can contribute. So we have a project called Digit. Centric is the community partner that is building on top of the protocol to develop this solution. It's a project with the EU, and it's about sustainable mining. So basically, they are doing digital twins in 7 mines in Europe to understand the mine's environmental impact, as well as the conditions on the mine for the protection of the people working on the mine. Also related with mining, we have another project called IOTA Origins, which is tracking the origin of minerals in conflict areas, which is really useful also for human rights protection. Then if you go a little bit beyond what is going on with the actual supply chain, we have multiple use cases. My favorite is the TLIP, which is the trademark is Africa, which is scaling, which is really good to see. Just not only East Africa, they're expanding to other regions, and they are actually digitalizing processes that were manual before via blockchain also, and it facilitates the transfer or the pass of goods between different jurisdictions. In this case, between East African countries and the UK. It also helps the economy in these countries because it makes it to be able to compete in the international market, especially in European market. And then later on, you have mobility use cases as well, where actually you can create DPPs, digital product passports, where you can actually reintegrate parts of the automotive sector to keep them in the market and the industry circular and for longer time. So you actually push forward circular economies. And through all of this, you can also integrate carbon monitoring. And we have a really interesting project, which is one of our spin-off called DMRB, which was originally a partnership with the Canadian government and Climate Check, which is putting sensors and different machines in plants to actually monitor the actual emissions of a particular machine. So you see, this was really fast, and I just mentioned 4 or 5 use cases, and this is the power of blockchain, and this is what it makes it so excited. And it's you can make processes that are already in place. We are not reinventing the wheel or putting new problems in society. We don't need that. We are actually helping one industry in different parts to actually be more efficient and more sustainable, and actually be able to compete in a better way in the market.
Very nice. Thank you to the 3 of you. And if you think Mariana speaks very fast, she does. But I can follow you because I also speak very fast.
I'm getting better.
Okay, Salvatore, I would like to ask you, what's the favorite project you're working on right now? Tell us a little bit more about it and why it's cool.
That's a difficult question. Well, I believe right now there are, if we stay on the sustainability topic, I believe every project related to tracking and tracing gives, I think, real visibility to end customers or where the product comes from. And I think that is great. That's really something where we talk about bio, about buying local, about this type of big topics that are society topics that are super important for, especially younger generation and for next generation. So I think companies need to do a shift towards those initiatives. And all the track and trace projects we're working on are definitely things that offers the best transparency to an end customer and really reconnects you with, I'm going to take one concrete example with AB InBev, so biggest beer manufacturer in the world. And they were able to implement tracking and tracing projects to be able to track which farmer even created or manufactured the beer and gave the malt to manufacture your beer. So that creates the feeling that you're directly connected with a local farmer. So I think that is great, and you see where it comes from. But most importantly, it also allows to collect all this data, right, from different steps of the manufacturing process, and also to thanks to all this data, to also advise farmer on how to, produce better and give advices that they can reuse in their daily job. So here you have different components of the supply chain process that are improved, transparency given to customers, and I think this can be applied to pretty much any product that we have. from whatever product we eat, drink, or even like phones, or knowing where it comes from, how it has been produced, or even to like utility, with, for example, the topic of certain countries where right now probably you don't want to have your gas coming from a certain country. Well, that's also what blockchain can enhance, and even if it's a bit maybe going a bit far from sustainability, just providing you this transparency, and I think that is what is great about the technology itself.
Very nice. I hope one day you can work with Carlsberg as well. From my home country. Very nice. Thank you, Salvatore. Yeah, Marcos, I think I would like to also, let's try to also talk a little bit some of the challenges to understand. I mean, because, I mean, you're all working with innovation, right? You're working with blockchain, and life is not easy when you implement an innovation. You need to convince people, they need to see the value, they need to see the impact, right? I mean,
absolutely.
So tell me about some of the challenges.
Well, some ideas. We need to be involved in disruption, not only in innovation. That's why I'm trying to explain my words.
What's the difference between disruption and innovation?
Yeah, innovation is like an evolution of a business, a traditional business, right? Like a traditional company, digital company. This is the typical natural flow. But our customers are sometimes in the step 0, that it's not digital. And we need to take them to the digital and beyond that, like blockchain, right? This is disruption because you are creating a new business model with tokenization, for example. It's amazing. Then the big challenge is there, then, from my side, right? My opinion. We need to move all the companies from off-chain to the on-chain system. And with a trusted data, I remember that word always, trust data. But on the other hand, okay, we need to go beyond that ESG accomplishment. Okay, it's a framework, right? But ESG is, we consider that it's opening new business models. And we need to be there. Why? Because it's a blue ocean. There is no competitors. We need to move that companies there. Not like a legal compliance process, more than that. This is the more challenge, change the mindset of the companies. Thank you.
I'm going to stay with the second question because the first one is like asking to pick like your favorite child, and you cannot do that. But like challenges, there are many. We ran a report within ATPA back in 2021 where we interviewed 69 projects and we asked them for challenges and opportunities they face when trying to achieve social impact. And one of the challenges that came, and is the only one that I'm going to mention because I saw it like coming like reiterative in all the panels, is about definitions. So they particularly highlighted the issue that like when we talk about social impact, everyone describes something different. And we, within ATPA, we worked like really hard last year in like trying to define what social impact was for the sector, and we came with a paper proposing a definition that came from the different interviews, and we did a validation with our academic advisory board. And I think that these kind of definitions like really help us to understand what everything is about. Like we have like right now, when we talk about DeFi, everyone is, besides like decentralized finance, everyone is talking like sometimes about different things, the same with staking and other concepts like that. And what this creates is like more barriers for like normal people outside the blockchain ecosystem to actually understand what the heck is that we are doing. And if we want to scale the projects, we need to go beyond the blockchain bubble, because these are the users, this is the people that at the end we are trying to target. They're going to be our users, our beneficiaries, whatever it is that we are doing. We need to involve them. So we need to just like bring the technology more into the people and start to just like make it more easy and more accessible, because if they feel that it's complicated, there's going to be barriers and then they don't want to approach it. And there are like a couple of projects also that I think that are like doing a great job with UX UI. Sometimes we forget to talk about that as well when we are doing blockchains. Like you can have like the best solution ever, but if it's difficult to access, well, people won't use it. We have a project in the Netherlands which is scaling as well. It's called Energy NIP, and they're working with like local vouchers, and they're working with the municipalities, and they actually are scaling because the government is using them to distribute relief money to families that were heavily impacted by the energy prices. And they do it in a really clever way because, again, sustainability also involves like all the energy transition. And it comes from like big actions about like that needs to come from like the governmental point of view, like more infrastructure, for example, but it also comes in baby steps because you need to educate the people and you need to actually incentivize for this transition. And what they do is like a super simple app that you log in, like all the data goes to the blockchain, it's completely anonymized, so the government doesn't have information about your particular habits, but you provide certain information about your day consume of energy. And your reward is actually some vouchers that you can change in local stores, also incentivizing the local economy in these municipalities. But it's only with certain providers of like for example, solar panels. So you can install some solar panels in your house. So it's like a whole circle of like how all of these different pieces interact. And I found like this like really important. Like the first is like, let's speak the same language, but like also like cooperate with governments because, and I work with the regulatory affairs team in IOTA, and like our vision is digital autonomy for everyone. And to do that, we need to create an enable environment also with the regulators so innovation can happen, because otherwise we can have like amazing ideas, but if they are not complying with regulation, we are not doing anything. So I think that those are my key challenges that I would like to highlight.
Nice. Salvatore, maybe you can also talk about challenges. Because again, I mean, I guess everybody working with blockchain, if you're not working with blockchain yet, I mean, you're all facing problems, right? I mean, it's so disruptive, right? So tell us, Salvatore.
Well, about challenges of building a blockchain application, well, I'm going to take the opportunity to talk about our solution, of course, simply because you have different steps and different elements that you need to build a blockchain application, from building your infrastructure to writing your smart contract templates. Even if you had a great idea, you still need to start somewhere, so you need to, well, define and design a smart contract. Then you need to integrate with existing tools. So we're talking about all those great initiatives about what can be done with blockchain, etc. Reality is that, well, companies have already existing solution, and at some point, even on-chain components needs to be integrated with off-chain components. So the integration is also challenging. And then you have the scalability aspects. So blockchain is a team sport. If you're not able to invite different members and that they all communicate in one single source of truth, it doesn't make sense. So how to solve them? Well, using Settlemint. No, but I mean, the platform offers, as I said, a step-by-step approach to, well, establish your infrastructure in a couple of clicks with different protocols, then having some smart contract templates so you don't start from scratch. You actually have a good best practice, some base that you can still modify, but where you don't start from scratch. Then you have some possibilities with middleware. You have possibility to integrate with existing APIs with typical existing solution. We're talking CRM, websites, so you mentioned UI. That's part of the integration that probably you need. And then other, well, side thing I would say that also needed sometimes, like private keys, wallets, this kind of stuff that are also in click and deploy mode. So I would say rather than trying to find someone that can develop for you, we'll try to use maybe a tool that is there to help you establishing a good base, and so that you can focus on creating value using blockchain and focusing on your use case per se, rather than all the technicalities and all the infrastructure aspects.
Very nice. I do remember, Sebastian, when we spoke many years ago, you were like,
maybe
Settlemint.
we can invite him on stage.
Yeah. He said, Settlemint is like WordPress, but for the blockchain world. And I'm like, oh, okay. So easy to use. Okay, fantastic. Okay, guys, so how do we get started? I mean, what do we do? I mean, for anyone who hasn't been building a blockchain project to have an impact, how do we get started?
I think that like with the communities, like there's like a lot of going on already there. I always said that like I don't like people reinventing the wheel or competing in silos, and I think that we have a lot of that on the space. There's a lot of competition, and I don't see the reason why sometimes, because we can collaborate and we are stronger.
But competition is good sometimes, isn't
Yeah,
it?
but like you are stronger if you work together, and that's a reality. Like, for example, when we talk about regulation, if I go like one voice, like I just represent my interests, rather than come together and represent the industry and showcase that there is actually some argumentation behind what we are saying, not like just my individual secondary agenda. And that comes as well, like when you are trying to build, there is like for example, in IOTA, we have like really active community, and we have Discord, and we have like Work Together, one of the channels. And if you have an idea, but like probably you are a lawyer like me and not a technical person, but you have a good idea, you can just like go there and try to find someone that like also finds your idea interesting and start doing like projects or start building. We did something was really interesting with the Sunaverse, which is one of our most active community members. And they have a platform, and among a lot of things they do, they have NFTs. And when everything started to happen with Ukraine, they were like, we want to help, but we don't know how. So they contact us and said like, well, we can find like some NGOs, and then like discuss with them. And we contacted two. It was a really interesting process because there were like NGOs working like they were in Kiev, and they were like in the first line. They have no idea about blockchain, so we walk with them like hand by like with the hand, explaining how a wallet works, how to open a wallet, everything. And then we also contact artists that had nothing to do with like NFTs or like, but they wanted to contribute, and they donate the art pieces. We mint them into NFTs, and then we auction those NFTs for the IOTA community. And well, if you also want to interact, you still can do it. Get your IOTAs and participate, and you can donate. Like you get a beautiful NFT from these different artists. There were like over 30 artists worldwide. And the donations go directly to the wallets of these NGOs, and the royalties are also programmed to go 90% to the NGOs to actually like have the 10% to keep incentivizing sales. But this was a really interesting process with like different parties that they never worked together. Like these artists didn't know anything about blockchain, these NGOs neither. But like someone went there and said like, I have an idea, who wants to help? And then they will always find someone. Like I think that like people always want to help and they get excited about new ideas. So I guess that like if it's the first time, just like jump on Discord in your favorite community. If you don't have one, just like explore. There's a lot of us here, so you can approach us and talk how to join, and then just like make your question and try to get a team.
Wow, she speaks so fast.
I have a lot of things to say.
Then, from our side, I think we need to start educating the people, educating the companies, because sometimes they don't understand anything about blockchain, even if it's legal. Come on. This is the first point, educating. And the next one is my proposal to create any proof of concept very fast and scaling, as Salvatore said. This is the most important. You can create a big project in the first phase, and that's all, I think. And I would to put one phrase on the table. We have only one life. We have only one world and planet. Do your best using blockchain. This is the mentality. That's all.
I like that. Salvatore.
Well, how to start? What are concrete steps that you can take? I would say one is to go explore existing use cases that we have put in production, right? So we mentioned carbon credits projects. So we have one concrete thing that we can show you, where typically you will buy carbon credits from a tribe in Africa, and this is enhanced thanks to blockchain technology through a token. So that's a reality. It's something that is in production that you can purchase. That's probably because some realities that some companies, due to their activity, they can never be carbon free, carbon emission free. I mean, they will have always to consume and to produce some carbon emissions. And so the way to offset this carbon emission production is to actually buy carbon credits. And that's a reality that is already happening, as I said, with this particular token. It's a project that we have done and put in production. So don't reinvent everything, right? So see a bit what are the existing use cases. And then I would say we can also go into a more consultative approach of understanding what are the challenges that you have and how you want to become more sustainable and why you want to become more sustainable. And then go into, I would say, a discovery phase of defining requirements, then, well, putting maybe an architecture on it and how blockchain will help or not. That's also a possibility. And then getting to a budget and an idea of how much it costs to become more sustainable, because, of course, that's also a reality, that it's an investment that you do. So those are concrete steps.
Fantastic. So guys, we need to wrap up. So I think maybe just a final word from each of you. How should they contact you, or how do you want to be remembered in terms of this sustainable future? Mariana, please go ahead. Quick one.
Yeah, I have a concrete action that everyone can get engaged if you want. Like I'm trying to actually, and it's something that we are running both with IOTA and in parallel and in cooperation with INADPA, and is that we are exploring actually what DeFi means. So we are actually asking industry players to help us define DeFi, so we can just like come together with a definition as an industry that we can later on present to regulators and have an open discussion about what DeFi is before they start actually to regulate. So we know what we are talking about, and we all are in the same page. So if you want to get involved, just send me a message on LinkedIn. I'm happy to share more information.
For my side, it's similar. Use LinkedIn to reach me. And very pleasure to talk about water credits. That no one's know about that. Fujitsu is involved in that. And new business model, remember this.
Great. Well, how to contact us? Well, hello@settlemint.com. That's one. Or contact me directly with my first name that is there @settlemint.com. Or we are at booth 106. Or we will be at the bar next to the DJ tonight.
Yeah.